Welcome back to Beyond the Headline, everyone, where we discuss the realities of launching, scaling, and investing in a business. I'm really excited to be here today because I'm with Emily Motayed, the co-founder of Havenly. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Emily, can we start out with you sharing what really differentiates your service from the host of other interior design players right now?
Yeah, I think there are a few things. For us, we are completely committed to building the most lovely and amazing experience for our customers, and we really bring that to the forefront. That's our mission. So for us, we've taken a lot of the feedback that our first customers have given us, and that's what the current iteration of our product is. Secondly, for the other thing that I think differentiates us is just the high quality of our designers. All of our designers are extensively trained before they're allowed to come onto our platform. We are 100% behind them. We have a money-back guarantee because that's how much we're committed to the quality of our designers, which is very different from some of the other services, which are more of a marketplace and take a little bit more of an agnostic approach to it. We really truly believe in training, having the best quality designers on our platform so that every single person who comes to Havenly has the best, most lovely experience that they're able to.
And what's the process like?
Yeah, so it's pretty fun. So you take a quick survey on our website. It's about 5 questions. What that does is that allows us to see what your style is. You then upload a few more pictures of your space and add some information about the project that you're interested in designing. You're then able to select from a group of designers that match your style. So you do have the freedom to choose your designer, but we are able to use our algorithm to surface the designers that we think are best for your style. You then either can schedule a phone call with them if you'd like, or they can just get started with your design, which includes 2 initial concepts, which are basically 2 mood boards showing you 2 different styles. You can leave feedback, you can rate it, and then your designer takes that feedback and provides you with an actual rendering of your space. So it shows you what your space can look like with all the furniture that they suggest for you, which is also different from some of our competitors. A lot of our competitors don't go to this stage. After that, you can also leave some more feedback. If you do want another revision, there's that built in. And then you can actually click through and shop all the items through us at best available price. We honor discounts, we honor promo codes, we honor everything. But what that does is we truly create the end-to-end consumer experience where you come to us for everything, and we have best-in-class customer service that helps out with if any issues do arise through the furniture delivery process.
And looking ahead, Emily, I know you guys are about a year and a half old now, but what are some of the big goals you have for the next year and a half?
Yeah, I think it's just still perfecting what we're doing, really taking in kind of the steps. The design process is very iterative, right? So where we've come to is based on feedback from folks who have wanted multiple revisions, who have wanted more the ability to speak to their designer as well. So really honing in on what makes this process the most frictionless that it can be for our customers is where our focus is right now. Also onboarding more and more designers. This is also a great opportunity for the whole host of designers who are out there who might be executing on other people's visions but can't build up their own portfolio or can't build up their own book of business. So we're able to give them the opportunity to do this on the side or even as their full-time job in order to really do what they love rather than being an interior design graduate and working for someone else for 10 or 15 years. So I think that's kind of our 2 main goals in the near future.
And I know a large part of your role is business development and partnerships. You guys have a partnership with Domino. Mm-hmm. Why was that so essential in the early days?
Yeah, we love this. So I think for us, Domino is such a amazing brand when it comes to design and in terms of their content. And then for them, we provide them with this utmost amazing quality design services. So it was a really natural partnership. On our end, it was the credibility of a brand such as Domino, who have been around. They've folded a little bit, but they've been around forever, and they have a very huge cult following. So that was a win for us in order to partner up on what we do best, which is the technology behind the design and the design process and that e-commerce layer, and what they do best, which is the amazing photography and the content and their whole community. And we're really excited about this partnership. It's been doing really well so far. We've been able to access a huge community of other folks who are looking for what we provide. So it's been exciting.
And for you, what was that experience like? Saying, you're just mentioning Domino's been around for a very long time. They have a prominent brand. And you guys are a very young startup. Out of all of the startups, why are they taking a risk on you?
I was on a personal level, it was very exciting. I mean, I remember meeting, kind of, having those initial talks and be like, oh, that would be awesome. But as an entrepreneur, you're still so in the thick of things. You can never really. It's hard to sometimes see the progress that you've made. So I'm like, oh, this is something that would be great. But exactly what you're saying. Why would they pick us? But I think there's so much synergy in the way that we thought about the industry. So we really believed in e-commerce first and having like a personalized layer over that e-commerce space, right? Which has been super successful in many other verticals, in men's clothing, Trunk Club, or women's clothing, Stitch Fix. So both Domino and us, we really believed in using content and design to help sell furniture in the best way possible, which, as I mentioned earlier, I think is very different from some of the other startups out there. So I think that's why they, kind of fell in love with us. We were in the running with a few other folks, and it really helped that our visions and our strategies for both of our individual companies were aligned so that this partnership made sense for the long term.
And as you move forward and consider other partners or business development opportunities, from your perspective, what are the core things you need to identify in a partner?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first is making sure that we have the same priorities. So, no one who cuts corners, make sure that the customer experience is but that's what they're building on. We tend to service a few different demos. So we have the urban professional, we have the busy mom, we have the single male. So those three are kind of our main cohorts. So a partner that kind of helps us achieve the acquisition of each individual, cohort itself is something that I look for as well. And see something that can help us grow in kind of an organic, but also, a normal way, something that makes sense. Right? That makes sense with the brand. It makes sense with all the effort and the thought that we've put into what Havenly means. Someone that does make sense with our brand, I think, is also something that I look for. And a partner that's fun to work with. We're doing something, serious. We're designing people's homes, but it's not brain surgery, and it's a lot of fun, and we love that, and we put our customers first. So someone who really has that mindset, I think, is also something that we look for in our partners.
And then what's the process like as you go through those initial meetings and you're pitching Havenly? What are the main things that need to happen in those first couple of meetings for something to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, something that just, like I said, that makes sense. We get a lot of, we get approached a lot with different types of brands. Everyone's trying to do a strategic partnership or a content partnership or something. And you can sometimes tell when it's a little bit kind of, you're pulling teeth to make a partnership work, and you can just almost sense that, right? With design services, there are a lot of things that make sense, but there are a lot of things that don't make sense as well. I would love to have a big, food pairing or something along those lines, but right now we're really focusing on getting to the folks who need design. So when you have those initial conversations, you talk a little bit about what might make sense in terms of what the goals are, what might make sense in terms of if our demographics match up, our target demographics match up in that sense, and what might make sense in terms of timeline. Like I said, we're a small startup. We are not, we have a tech team that's working really hard. We're also, constantly improving our product. So what makes sense in the timeline there is also a big consideration.
Something you mentioned just now is focusing on the target customers you have in those three groups. What are some initiatives you guys are doing to reach them?
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. One of the cohorts that I always like to talk about is the single male, right? So they're a little bit harder to acquire. They don't really click on Facebook ads or Pinterest ads, or I don't even know what they're doing out there. So that's been interesting, and I think one of the things that we found is successful. So obviously we're a digital startup. It's very easy to go into the customer acquisition strategy on the digital side, but there is something to be said about having kind of a marriage between offline strategies and online strategies, so that people can really understand who we are before they actually purchase us. So a design service isn't necessarily like a dress or an impulse purchase, right? You're not going to see it and say, oh, I mean, some people might, but the majority of folks aren't going to see it and be like, oh, this sounds great. I'll just purchase it. It's a much more considered purchase.
Can't return it.
You can't return it, and you're going to have to commit to it, and you're going to have to upload photos, and you're going to have to end up buying furniture, right? So we find that it helps when we kind of touch people in 4 or 5 ways before they're actually transacting with us. Simply because, if I touch you in 4 different manners and 4 different channels, then when you're signing that lease in your new York City studio, you can remember who we are, and that's when you're more primed to purchase. So it's an interesting acquisition strategy, and that happens with men too. The majority, this is kind of a generalization, but a lot of men don't really realize that they need a service like this. So how do you go about, acquiring that customer? And a lot of that is education, right? Our advertisements are very focused on educating you that you might not know that you could get your place designed for less than $200, but this does exist, or, make your mom or your girlfriend happy or proud by having a beautiful space, something along those lines, but also having kind of like a marriage between offline and online, so we can actually engage with folks, beyond the screen and tell them exactly who we are, what we're doing, and why this would be beneficial to them. So that includes, things like we do subway ads in New York, we do events, we do partnerships with real estate agents and management companies, so we actually are in, the buildings when people are walking in and getting to know those folks so that they're primed to use us when they're ready.
And so those are 3 of the touch points. What are some of the online ways that you're reaching potential customers?
Of course, we do a lot of Facebook, which is great because it's very targeted. We're testing out Instagram, which is exciting. I think what's cool about Instagram is because I remember when Instagram started, so it's cool to see how they're moving into advertising and really being able to experiment with that. Their targeting is great as well. Pinterest is awesome for us. There's a much more higher intent to purchase on Pinterest. And, just educating people. So things like this where we can talk a little bit about who we're doing or who we are and what we're doing. And even just, getting out there and talking to folks and engaging in, communities online and things like that. So looking for people who are ready to use a service or looking for a service like ours, but don't know that this exists at our price point.
So really those first couple conversations or touch points are never a direct sell.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Of course, there are folks who, I'm this type of consumer where I see something and I'll buy it regardless. You can tell I'm a startup person. I'm an early adopter, if you will. But I think for the majority of folks, especially for those who aren't familiar with the startup space and who aren't familiar with, the whole host of, startups that are doing this, it does take a little bit of education and a little bit of digging around, a little bit of confidence in who we are, right? And who Havenly is and who our designers are. And, on us, that requires building an amazing product. That requires building an amazing marketing page, or having a portfolio where people feel comfortable, or having that money back guarantee, so that if you're not fully satisfied with your design process, we will work with you to get you there, or get your money back, so that you don't have that psychological hurdle of putting down money that a year ago you weren't putting down. If you never used a designer, you were doing it yourself, or you didn't have it in your daily life.
So I want to rewind just a bit and focus on the early days.
Mm-hmm.
Your sister Lee taught herself how to code so she could build the website. As she was doing that, what were you doing?
So we started off as, it was the 2 of us, and then actually one of our first hires was a designer. So an actual interior designer who had been doing this for her friends, but via email or via Photoshop or things like that. So there was the 3 of us. Yeah,
it's a lot of emails.
It was, oh my gosh, the emails were obscene during those first few days. And it was before we had a Havenly email, so I would get emails I'm a Gmail. Either way. So we were building the product. We were actually just trying to figure out if people would use this or buy it, right? We started this off in 2013, kind of testing this out. And it was before, it was before home design became the sweet spot, right? So we were trying to figure out if anyone would even buy this or would buy design services online or would put down their credit card. And so we would test it on our friends. We didn't build a platform or anything along those lines. We literally would just do a phone call, and then Shelby, our designer, would send over the concepts, and then we'd go from there via email back and forth, which is the primary, the kind of the MVP version of what we have now. And then, it's kind of a blur, and then we would test out marketing, we would test out what the product should look like, we would take a marketing page that we had and sit in coffee shops and ask people to read it and see if it made sense to them, basically everything, and it's been a kind of an exciting ride, because all of a sudden, we're so in the thick of things that when I step back, it's kind of interesting and fun to see the progress that we have made.
And when you guys were just starting out that first year, your sister just had a great talk at Women Who Startup in Denver about her experiences fundraising. And she said she pitched 100 VCs, got a lot of no's. What was the turning point for you guys where, customers and VCs started seeing your product and saying, hey, I want to be involved?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is we always had customers. So it was really the manner in which we needed to focus on the customer, have them start talking about it, have that get to VCs or people that make those decisions and say, oh my gosh, look at these people and their NPS scores, and they're able to build a really great quality product with not that much money. So we were very scrappy in the sense that we did focus on getting our revenue numbers and getting the customers in through the door and acquiring customers, because I really do think at the end of the day, when you have progress, and you are able to prove that people are willing to purchase this and are willing to tell their friends about this, then that's the best way to grow, and that's the best way to really show that you have traction. I think, there's a whole host of reasons why. Early stage investing is difficult. I get it. You don't know what you're getting into. So for us, a lot of it was building up that traction to prove that we can build a really sustainable product.
And how did you get the early users to share what you were doing?
Yeah, it first started out like most things do. You share on your own Facebook. I remember our first client. It was a friend of mine from high school, a guy who lives in Seattle. And then what happens is that you have these early adopters who become these evangelists for you and are able to talk about you in a completely organic way because they love the experience and they love what you're doing. In most all businesses, word of mouth and organic referrals is one of the best customer acquisition methods because it really does show A, that indicates that you have an amazing product, and B, it's fairly inexpensive. So that was kind of how we found our first customers. That first cohort of people that weren't our friends, I think we did find a second degree, if you will, second or third degree of referrals for a while. We didn't do much marketing spend in the beginning simply because we were able to get organic growth and get people who loved the product, regardless of how many bugs were in it or regardless of, what was going on. They loved the design aspect and they loved being able to see their room turned into this new kind of new experience. And so I think we really capitalized on that relationship between the designer and the client when maybe our tech wasn't so great. To really build trust with our customers and have them be able to tell their friends.
What were some of the early challenges that you personally faced in your role that first year?
Yeah, I think it's always the ambiguity of things, especially when you're a smaller team and it's just like 4 of you guys and like you're saying, you don't know what your role is and you don't know what your responsibilities are. And I come from kind of a traditional consulting background. So you don't go into the day knowing exactly what you're going to do. And I think that can be a little bit mentally draining and emotionally exhausting, right? And not knowing what the future, I still don't know what the future might hold, right? So it's not knowing what's going to be happening, I think is a little difficult, especially before you have a product and before you have customers and before you have money and before you have employees. It's a little bit fluid and that can be a little bit exhausting to not have that stability.
I think when you aren't 100% sure, like you were saying, what's going to happen, you guys brought on a co-founder, Jessie, and she's in Denver, right? The rest of your team. What was that experience like? What were you looking for in a co-founder?
Yeah, no, she actually started with us as an advisor. So she loves the space. She's very, very, very well experienced in what she does. So she was formerly at Walmart.com and then she was at eBags in the operating and launching marketplaces space. She's very focused on e-commerce, which is what our mission is based on. So for us, she came to us as an advisor and she was giving us a lot of advice and she just loved the space and it worked so well because her personality and her viewpoint really counteracts me and Lee's. So it was good to have 3 people, I think, because especially when 2 of the people are a little bit more similar,
And
So that
related.
and related, right? So that there is like a kind of a more of a balance between the three. She's very process oriented. We're a little bit more idea oriented, and that kind of helps you, and it gives you like that natural tension and friction that allows you to move the business forward in a good way.
And
So we
go
so
ahead.
she's been great. So she's been with us, pretty much from launch, and has really built up our customer service, our designer team, our ordering team, all of that.
And so did you guys reach out to her to be an advisor?
No, I think she had heard. So she had moved back to Denver from San Francisco, and she'd heard about us, and loved the design space. And I think one of her friends was actually using us, and then it kind of was like a natural introduction.
Very cool. And so then the introduction to the like the more formal position, co-founder, was also natural.
Yeah, I mean, she was advising us. She would come in every week with all these ideas, and we're like, do you want to just do it? Instead of telling us what, she was basically doing it anyways. So it just kind of made sense. And for us, everyone we hire that we bring onto the team, the biggest thing is just passion, right? Like, this is my first thing. I've never done this before. I don't really have any experience, but you have to be so passionate about what we're doing and what we're building and what we're trying to provide for the customers, and passionate about our future and what that might hold. And that's basically what we look for in everyone that we bring on.
And what's it like right now at 15 team members? Is everyone still operating like a family, or are you a team now that has some specific plays and processes?
Yeah, I mean, it's still small. We're still trying to figure out, what roles fit best for everyone, including ourselves. It's still exciting and small, and all of a sudden, we're able to collaborate with more people versus just doing it on our own, so that there's more sounding boards and there are more, but I think it's a good number. It's a good place to be in where, we're able to really collaborate very easily, as well as, be nimble on our feet. So we're not huge in the sense that, bureaucratic or anything along those lines. But, and, we're continuing to grow. So that number might change even when this airs, I guess. So, we're just really trying to make sure that we have the most efficient, effective, and fun team, right? So the other big thing for us is just making sure we're efficient and effective. Because that's really important. You can have a team of 50 doing the same work that we're doing, basically, because we really try to make sure that everyone is optimized to do the best that they can.
How are you doing that?
The biggest thing is hiring, right? So hiring people who are good for the job, but not just good for the job, good for the culture, and good for ambiguity, and good for moving pieces. And then, just making sure that we're not wasting too much time on things that don't, acquire customers, and things that might not make sense. I'm really focusing on that mission of, growth, sustainable growth, scaling, and the consumer experience.
And as you focus on scaling, you mentioned before we started recording, there's a lot of things you guys are experimenting with right now. Can you share any of those?
Yeah, so we recently launched a new service called Havenly Mini, which we're super excited about. We launched it last week. So our full design fee payment is $199, and that includes the concept boards, and then revisions, and then that rendering. But let's say you have like a couch and a TV stand and all that stuff, and you just want a little room refresh with accessories and things like that. That's where Havenly Mini comes in. It's more of an accessories package. It's $79, and you're able to fill out that survey. You do get matched to a designer, and then they provide you with two concepts with basically accessories to tie your place together. I think for us, this has been really interesting, because there are a lot of people out there who have had a couch forever and have been living in this apartment, but haven't really made it a home yet. Right? There you go. See, that makes sense, right? You have the couch, you have all the big pieces, but it's not yours. And that's where we think there's a huge opportunity for us with that. And then the Domino partnership has been amazing, partnering up with brands that are well known like that. We're really excited about. There's a lot of opportunity there, and a lot of people are very interested in what we're doing, because it does seem to be the new iteration of the interior design world, right? Which is an industry that is really accepting of innovation. So we're primed for taking advantage of that.
I'm glad you brought that up. For the interior design world, do you think everything's going to go online? Do some things still have to be in person?
No, so I think we don't really, I don't think we actually compete with traditional interior designers, right? I think what we're doing is we're just lowering that entry price point. We're targeting folks who wouldn't normally be able to afford an interior designer right now. Don't get me wrong, in 15, 20 years, they're not going to be using Havenly. They might be going and wanting that, custom hand holding with fabric swatches and, custom couches and they're going to want that eventually, but we're just moving and making it more available downstream for people like you and I, or like in our generation that is used to buying things online. We do still, sometimes find folks who would use a traditional interior designer come to us mainly because they like the ease and the convenience factor of it. So maybe they don't want to be super involved with the design process and they don't want to go back and forth. And they like the fact that it's all online. But for us, I really see it as we're just moving that entry price point downstream. So we're targeting a whole host of folks who, are using nothing. So we're really competing with people who are doing it on their own or not doing anything.
Very cool. For you in particular, Emily, when you look back on this journey so far, has there been a couple of points of, critical reflection where either you felt you came into your role or everything was just established, like an aha moment?
Uh, I think, my favorite part is really taking a step back and going in through the client profiles, which I don't, when we first started out, that was us uploading everything and designing everything. And so when you kind of grow, it's very easy to lose sight of that, I think, and lose sight of why you started this. But I love going and reading testimonials, seeing beautiful places, seeing these beautiful rooms, seeing how happy our customers are with the relationships with their designers, because that's really what we're trying to do. We're building a place and a safe space for people to get design help and to get that, that hand holding and to make them feel okay with their design choices and feel okay with their budgets and feel okay if maybe they can't afford this right now, but they, that's their aspirational piece. And so that's the greatest thing for me and more of my aha moment where it feels like, we're really building something cool. We're really building something that people love. It's not just my mom that loves it anymore, right? Which is exciting. Which was how it was, a year and a half ago. It's a lot of people, and a lot of people are buying things, and a lot of people are telling their friends, and that's kind of where I'm like, all right, we got this. We're really onto something cool. We're building something cool. And then I think just pushing through on the days when you think it's not going to work, or when you might want to give up, but being really confident in what you're building and hearing the customer testimonials and hearing what we've built and that people love our product really helps with that.
So that's where you go then, the customer testimonials, when you're having those rough days.
Yeah, I just love it. I'm like, all right, people love what we're doing, and they're not related to me, which is the big thing. I think that's the biggest. That's the most fun of the job, right? Why we started this, and that's why we built Havenly. So yeah.
I love it. So for the last couple of questions, Emily, we always just focus on life questions.
Yeah.
Right away, when I was reading your profile, I resonated and was like, have to interview her. It says that you're not a fan of kale and salad.
No, I am not.
Also not a fan of kale and salad.
And you live in California. What are you doing? Do you just hide from everyone?
I'm not a fan. So since you're not having kale and salad, if you could only have like 3 foods for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Cheese fries, 100%. Probably like a really good medium rare burger, with caramelized onions and like Thousand Island. I'm such a fat kid, and Thousand Island sauce. And then my third one might be, so there's like a cheese kind of theme to this. The third might be like remember the string cheese that we used to eat when we were kids? I love that. That's like, actually, I could probably eat 3 packets a day. I probably do.
Oh my God.
It's disgusting. I might have to start eating kale and spinach soon at this rate if I don't die of a heart attack in the near future. But those are my 3 favorite foods.
Got it. When you're looking back on the last couple of years, what's a highlight in the sense of just a really fun experience, whether it's professional or personal?
Yeah, I'm in my late 20s, and so this is something, our father's an entrepreneur, so this is something I've always wanted to do since I was like 9, and I would like close down our family's kitchen and then try to sell my mom, back her dinner, right? Like that's not normal, but that's what I was doing when I was 9 years old. Because I saw that my father is completely self-made and he loves what he does, and he's in his late 60s and still wakes up and loves what he does and goes into work and loves it. And that's what I want in my life. And so I think it's been really great to be able to do that from scratch, and with a family member, which is even more exciting. So really being able to execute on a dream that I've had for a very long time, even when I was in college, right? Like I would have all these crazy outlets. I think people thought it was because I didn't really want to work for anyone else, but really I just like loved ideas and loved startup ideas and had all these ideas and kept like a little notebook of them. So really being able to commit to one and build it to where it is today has been a huge personal and professional goal or achievement of mine.
Very cool. Well, you're certainly on your way to following Dad's footsteps. How can everyone stay up to date with you guys, learn more about Havenly, and then hopefully try the service?
Yeah, so you can go to www.havenly.com. Obviously, there's the mini option and the full design option that you can go on there. Our blog is amazing, so I think that's
post a lot.
Yeah, we love engaging with our community, but it's also a great way to see what we're doing and see what we're up to, especially on the design side. And then I am on Twitter as well. The company is on Twitter as well, which I think is probably the best way. So it's at the Havenly on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Check us out. Come to our website. See what we're doing, and hopefully you guys will all get a little Havenly refresh as well.
Very cool. Thank you so much for being here today.
All right, thank you.